Hello everyone, it's Elixia and welcome to another speed paint. Here we are, let us begin. You just saw on screen the final product. Now we're going to obviously watch the whole thing. So I once again remembered to record my screen during this process. And as you can see on the left in my canvas, I have the reference picture that I was using, which is a picture of a beautiful outfit that I originally saw on Pinterest, but I will link in the description the Instagram of the woman who took the picture and wore the clothes. She has actually a really cool Instagram, so I would recommend you follow it. But anyways, my goal was to take this outfit and put it on a person in a drawing. So that is what I did to the best of my ability, at least. So yeah, I'm going to actually try and do a voiceover for the entire speed paint this time. So be prepared for a little bit of rambling and stumbling over my words, because that's what I do. This is already the third time I'm recording this, but third time's the charm. Hopefully you're listening to this now, so it obviously worked. Yes, so something I did a little bit differently. I took actually a little bit of inspiration from an artist called 𝐁𝐮𝐬𝐢𝐧𝐞, I believe, and I will link their Instagram in the description as well. I just want to say that I really like their art, and I took a bit of a technique that I saw in one of their speed paints, so I wanted to mention it here, and also say you should follow them because they have the best art ever. Anyways, I'm already rambling, but the point is that they sketch in red and also add a little bit of blue on top of the sketch as well. And I don't know, I feel like it actually made a pretty big difference, specifically for the skin. Like the red came through a little bit and the blue, and also they just have some really, really bright colors in their skin and a lot of blues and orange and stuff. So I wanted to try and do that to some extent. So I have just some more interesting skin tones. You know, there's a lot of colors in your skin if you look closely because there's blood and veins and stuff. So I added some blue in there. It's not the most realistic or anything, but I thought it was pretty cool. So yeah, it's still nowhere near as good as Leah's though, but I'm working towards that level of amazing skin colors. So yes, that was kind of what I wanted to focus on here. I also wanted to simplify my style a little bit more. It's always been not realistic, but I wanted to go a little farther into the land of cartoonish stuff. And I mainly did that with the eyes and the hair. The eyes are just less detailed than before. I guess I'm just comparing it to the last thing that I drew, the last human I drew. I also wanted to go cut back on the highlights a little bit, because I feel like that's a problem I've had of just doing too many highlights that don't make sense because I don't properly plan the light environment, which I didn't do here either. It's not very interesting lighting. I do need to learn more about how lighting works. That's one of my goals, but this time I at least tried not to go overboard with a lot of harsh highlights that made no sense. But yeah, this was so much fun because I got to draw a lot of flowers, though with flowers I usually just do kind of the impression of a flower. It's just a splodge of color if you zoom in. There are no petals, but I think it gets the point across of flowers being there. Yeah, so I spent about 3 hours on what you're seeing in this video, around about 3 hours, but it actually took me a lot longer than that because before this version I drew this 2 times beforehand, not the whole thing, but I sketched it and did base colors twice before this, and it just wasn't working. I struggle so much with proportions and anatomy and just like things looking correct. So third time's the charm for everything apparently, because I'm also recording this voiceover for the third time, as I mentioned. But yes, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. There's actually one of my favorite artists, 𝐁𝐮𝐬𝐢𝐧𝐞. I don't know how to pronounce her name, even though she's one of my favorite artists, but it's fine. So tomorrow, which is Saturday, she is doing a critique live stream, and I'm going to attempt to submit this for a critique and hopefully get some ideas on how to improve it a little bit. So yeah, that's fun. And if you would like to, you can follow my art Instagram, which is elixiabusiness. I will link that in the description too, because if I end up fixing this, I might post another picture of it or something, and just future arts will be on there because I don't generally record speed paints for this channel. What else can I talk about? Right now, I'm just drawing the thing, obviously. I don't like sketching a lot. My favorite part is painting. I call this digital painting because that's my favorite part, is blending and shading and drawing faces and skin and stuff. So I've never done line art or cell shading before, which I really admire people who have like a steady hand and can draw lines, because I can't even sketch very well. I just like to smush colors around. One fun thing that I have coming in the mail to me from Amazon is some actual paint, because strangely enough, I was never an artistic person at all. I didn't draw or anything. So basically the main introduction to art in general for me was digital art, because I bought a drawing tablet. So I've never properly delved into painting with actual paint. So I decided to order some gouache online, and it's coming to me so I can experiment with gouache, which is just a type of paint. I feel like it's lesser known, but it's kind of like, I feel like to me it looks like acrylic paint, but it's water-based. But I don't know a lot about actual paint, but I'm going to try that out, which is going to be very exciting, I think, to see how it actually feels. But I know I'm very reliant on lasso tool and all sorts of digital things, as you'll see watching this. Speaking of, let me talk a little bit about my process. So I actually had quite a few layers in this, but usually what I do is I start out by doing a sketch layer and a base color layer, and then as soon as possible I start drawing over my sketch, because I used to do it so that I had to get rid of the sketch in the end. But basically what I do now is I integrate the sketch into the drawing and I paint over it so that I can just get it looking smooth and good. I don't know how to describe this, but my main goal towards the end is to be able to combine everything into one layer, because that's how it's easiest to blend for me, and it's just less confusing and it's really good for me. So once I get to that stage of about one layer merged together, then I add another layer on top and I start adding whatever extra details or changes I want to do. And this actually takes a long time. It's like the refining stage, which is my favorite stage as well. But I do that, I add some changes, and then I just flick back and forth, turning off and on that new layer and seeing if I like it better than the old one, and then I'll get rid of some stuff or add some stuff. So yeah, that's kind of how I do it, and I keep doing that until I feel like it's polished enough. And to be honest, it's really good because it makes me motivated to keep going, because I can physically see the changes that I've added little by little, kind of, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's a little bit of how I do my process. We're actually nearing the end of this speed paint, I think. So thank you for listening to me ramble if you stayed until the end. Actually, if you stayed until the end, comment the code word, which is cloud, which shows me you watched until the end, I guess. I don't know why you would have to do that, but yeah, do that. So that's about the end. I hope you enjoyed the background music, because it is BTS, but in piano form, so you're welcome, and have a lovely day.